What's up, guys? Welcome back to a Team Solemn Circus live video. Today we're going actually over second place branded deck. This is going to be me playing the deck, I guess. I'll be explaining to you guys why I played certain ratios. It is very similar to the 40 card build. I have been trying out a bunch of the builds. We did kind of pause from the ground up with the branded cards, going into the whole deck. But it should be resuming probably this month. I'm just focusing on a little bit of other stuff. But yeah, before we dive into like, comment, subscribe, I'll be telling you guys why I'm not playing certain cards as well, which kind of like it tells you guys why you can play certain stuff. This was to only add a locals. But yeah, we are playing the 3 Albaz. You kind of have to play this card at 3. Some people play at 2. Right now, it's definitely good at 3. It also helps you break boards as well, being a good normal summon. We're playing the 2 copies of Cartesia and the 2 copies of Quem. I think that 2 Quem is actually pretty standard. It helps you play through Nibiru through a lot of the cards as well. And a lot of times you just want to be able to use it on the field. And to be honest, there's also times where I want to go for a Gaming Puppet line, and I can actually just use the Quem itself on the field and bring out another Quem. And like having the ability to have 2 of them in the deck, or 1 in the deck, 1 being used, you don't kind of think like, oh, well, I don't want to get rid of my Quem, or I need to keep this Quem, blah, 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 blah. You can always get another one back out, which is really nice through that way, which is why I like playing 2. Then we are playing the triple copies of Aluber. This helps us get our perfect ratio of 5 normal summons as well, being this and this. And of course, you also have your 3 openings. Then we're playing the 1 Tragedy and the double copy of the Albion. So we're not playing 3 Albion because we're not playing a board of 40 cards. I don't ever want to see multiple of these. So being able to play one of them, if it gets banished, it gets banished. You have the other one in the deck. You're always able to have it shuffled through it and stuff like that, which is why we're playing the same thing with Quem. Being able to put it back in the deck also kind of helps you out, so you always have 1 in deck at all times, which is just all right. I have not ever wanted to play a 3 Cartesia, by the way. I saw one build playing that, and I was like, that's just wrong myself, so kind of want to put that out there. But we're playing the 1 Mercurier, the 1 Sorinier, and the 1 Bestial Rebellion alongside the 1 Gimmick Puppet of Nightmare. So we're still playing this card. Obviously, it's still legal. Gimmick Puppets are not a real deck until next set, so we don't have to worry about that till then. But yeah, the Mercurier comes up a lot. I actually love this card. I'm a huge fan of this card, being able to search it. And that's the thing with the double Albion, is that if you already use one of these, chances are you won't actually want to search for the third. So if you want to search for Mercurier, is really nice. And if you open up with one already, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. But if you already have Mercurier in the hand, you want to add that Albion just because. So it's really nice to be able to play through that as well. Then the Sorinier and the Lubellion, we're not playing the copy of Magnemite in the main because it's definitely not needed right now. But if time changes, I'll let you guys know. So for the spells, we're obviously playing the 3 God card, Branded Fusion. The 3 copies of Branded Opening. We're actually on the double copies of Branded Red and the copy of Branded Lost. And then, of course, the doubled into your servants. So the reason why we're playing double Branded in Red is this was the 40th card in my deck, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to play. So instead of bumping up the 3rd copy of the Deer, I actually chose to play 2 Branded in Red, because opening Branded Red is never really horrible. It helps you play through D-Barrier, as well as helps you able to make Guardian Chimera plays, as well as the copy of the Sanctifier, which is really nice. So also being able to set other cards. If you have this, you can actually sometimes set a copy of Retribution, which is really good this format as well. Being able to banish those cards, or I guess negate stuff. And it is a quick, I guess a spell speed, whatever. I think 4 is called. But it's a counter trap, so they can't actually respond to it without using a counter trap, which is really nice. It puts people off guard a lot, and they don't realize that it just negates the effect and then they can't chain anything. And then I didn't find that Endear Servant was that impactful right now. Like obviously it gets you your Quem, it also gets you your full dump by dumping Albion, and you're able to set up some stuff like that as well. But a lot of the times it was just an extra card if I got ashed, and I didn't find myself getting ashed that often. So I wanted to bump it down to 2 when we're still playing the 3rd copy in the 4th copy through the Talents, or I should say Thrust. But Branded in Red didn't always have access to it, so I just wanted to be able to play it. And it really came up a lot. Like I do love the double Branded in Red setup, because a lot of times they'll try to, if they have DD Crow, they'll DD Crow this so you don't get to add back. It's really nice. Then for other spells, we were playing obviously the 3 branded deployment is what the card should actually be called. The 1 copy of Call by the Grave, and then the triple copies of Forbidden Droplets, and of course the double copies of Thrust and the 1 Talents. And I'll also put this here as well as this to round off our 40. Sorry for the glare once again. So the reason why we're playing, I don't have to explain this, but we're not playing any hand traps, therefore Forbidden Droplets helps it a lot. You activate Fusion Deployment, you chain droplets, you can actually essentially negate for 1 card. If you want to be able to discard something else, you can definitely as well. Having Retribution in the graveyard doesn't really hurt. But like Thrust also can be really good. And I'm playing 2 of it for the same reason I'm playing the Tuna Deers. It gets me everything I want to, but I don't need it all the time. So going first, obviously I can set the duplication, which comes up a lot of the times as well if you get ashed. Or I can search for a copy of the Deer Servant, play those cards. And then going second, I can use the talents. I didn't want to draw multiple copies of talents, therefore it's only at 1. And like a lot of the times, if your opponent is not hand trapping you correctly or they're hitting you with imperm, it doesn't really clear the board. Like this card's just definitely better going second. But yeah, the deck just feels really good, to be honest. I don't know if I'd take it to a big event right now. I think that this variation of the deck in this format is probably not the best. I think I'd play the 60 card build because it's just all gas. But definitely enjoying it at my locals. So for the extra deck, we play the 2 Mirror Jade, the 2 Albion, the 1 Sanctifier, the 1 copy of the Tentaclad, I want to say Garua, but it's Rinbrum, and the 1 copy of Albion. Then we're playing the 1 Masquerade, the double copies of Granganol. This is very standard now. You definitely need to go through 2 of them. The 1 copy of Quiritus, the Guardian Chimera, the Draco Sepelia, and this is the addition. We are playing the Borreload Furious Dragon. This is simply for Tempai and I guess Eldritch Shadow Alex. But if you're playing as a back row deck, you can actually just like end on this, and then a lot of times if you want to pop cards, or you can just like be able to pop it. And like it just comes up a lot, to be honest, where you want to be able to make this. You can just make it in the battle phase as well, and they can just start like before they battle, you just pop their card, and like it just helps you out significantly. As well as with the field spell, you can actually pop the Tempai field spell with this, and then if you have Guardian Chimera access, you can actually use this for the Guardian Chimera stuff. And then go for it, because you can protect this with opening, which is really nice. So really cool to play through that kind of stuff. And then of course Draco Sepelia is just Draco Sepelia for those negates. To follow up for the side deck here, we are playing the 1 Magnemite, the 1 Druisworm, the 1 Baldrake. This gives you access, and you don't want to play the bestial cards you can get as well. You know, this being able to search for anything, including a Phantasme, which is why it's in the deck. There is a little bit less link summoning now, so I could definitely change this, but I like it a lot versus Snake Eye. Then we are playing the 1 Dragon. This is just to be able to dump it off the Brand Infusion. And the double copies of Cosmic. I played against Eldritch yesterday, and I actually had to go Shaddoll Dragon and a Cosmic in hand, so I get it for 2 of those cards. And then I went to the Boral, whatever the Boral card is, to start popping more of its stuff, which is really nice because, you know, you definitely want to get rid of those cards. And they were kind of forced to like play it differently because they didn't think I was going to be able to destroy so many of their cards all at once, which is really nice. We are playing the Duster as well because, you know, well, not just, I guess I should say, these 3 cards aren't really like to blow up boards. They're really to just like get rid of stuff. Like if you're playing against Snake Eye, you can get rid of their field spell. If you're playing against Runic, you can get rid of their field spell as well. And a bunch of decks have back row now. So you just want to have like multiple options of it. It doesn't even feel bad to even ever draw any of these. I guess Dragon feels bad, but whatever. The Duster just for those heavy back row clearances. We're playing the 3rd copy of Thrust. If we're playing against a heavy hand trap, we can put this in and be able to search for our cards. And then same thing with the talents. If we want to be able to just like actually break these boards going second, you throw in a talent. Helps you end up breaking it, steal a card that's impactful. You know, the only negates are kind of now gone, so like the only thing you really want to take with this is a copy of like Appaloosa, which does threaten the deck a lot. But like if you're playing against something, you can just rip their hand to be able to like potentially play better and know what time or when you should be able to hit them with certain cards. And then we are playing the triple copies of Dark Ruler No More, just because, you know, these boards that Snake Eyes make, if you don't able to open it up, you can just get absolutely smoked. So being able to just go Dark Ruler No More, which is why we're playing 3 of it rather than the 2 you can search off with Thrust. It's because I want to be able to see it as much as possible, you know, just being able to blanket the board, and then maybe even set up like a Giving Puppet to break that. Turn 3, which is really nice. And it's like, this is just absolutely crazy. And the deck's also really good against Tempai, and then it has like a decent matchup against Melodious as well. But I think this deck is really good, this format, myself. But obviously it's still up for debate. You know, it is a pretty open, wide format right now. But the reason why we're not playing these cards here. So we're not playing High Spirits because I guess I'll just lay them all out. A lot of the times when I do a deck profile, people are like, oh, why don't you play these cards? So I thought at the end of the deck profile, I can just feature cards that are normally played in the deck that are reason why I'm not playing it. I can also throw in a Magnum Reliever as well here. So High Spirits really gets its usage when you're playing multiple dragons. And so we're not playing a high dragon count. I think it's like 6 dragons in the deck. You know, being the Albions as well as the Alvazes, and then of course the Sorinir. It doesn't get its full use of it, so therefore we're not playing it. If you wanted to play more dragons, you absolutely could, and then you would like change and just take out Nadir's for this card, which is really nice. Birded in white's only because like that's the 41st card, and I didn't really want to play it. I like it in the 60 card build, so I'm just playing a copy of Nadir Servant instead, because it kind of gets me into more stuff. I don't find myself needing access to a copy of Mirror Jade very much often. Super Poly is just because we're not playing a bunch of Super Poly targets. Like, you can definitely cut down the Masquerade, you can cut down the Boros, and put in like a copy of Garua, and then maybe another copy of a Super Poly target. Just not that good right now, I find. I don't want to be able to discard multiple cards. You know, I already have enough cards to discard for that. So, you know, I want to be able to dump like a copy of Rinbrum, then I'm going to have summon out Albaz, discard a card. Doesn't really help me out to get in the grind game, stuff like that, so I'm not playing it. But once Yubel comes into the format a little bit more prominently, this definitely could see more, or, you know, of course, Tempai, depending on how prominent that matchup is as well. Ad libitum here is like always the odd card. You know, a lot of players have been playing it for a long time, and I do love this card, but unfortunately, I'm trying to minimize the bricking, which is why we're playing a bunch of like powerful cards in this deck, which is why we're like looking at our weird ratios like the 2 near your servants, stuff like that. And ad libitum didn't really add to that problem. I never really wanted to see it in the hand or search it. I'd rather search for a copy of Quem or a copy of the Aluber, or even for follow-up, and just banishing it off the copies of Quem, or off the Guardian Chimera there. And then for the Despot Lulu Wild, we actually took this out and put in the Boros Savage, or not Savage, I should say, but the Boral Furious, because of the fact that like this never really came up. Like, obviously you could dump this off into your servant, which is why you normally play this card, but you can just dump the fusion, the copy of Titaniclad instead, which sends out the Quem there. You know, you do lose access to the copy of Cartesia, but normally you'll be able to get that with the Quem. So you'll be able to play those kind of stuff. I never really found myself summoning it as often. And then Magdalene the Reliever, you don't actually have that many cards that fusion summon using stuff in their hand. Like, your only fusion cards are Branded Fusion, which doesn't get you into this, alongside the copy of Lubellion and then Albion. And like, Polymerization is a very good card. So if you're playing Polymerization, this card shines. But we just chose to play Savage instead, I guess Furious instead, which is really nice. They get the same kind of pop effects, but you just don't get it as often, unfortunately. Regardless, hope you guys enjoyed watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more content. And let me know in the comment section down below what else you would play in the deck, or what you guys want to be seeing. In order to stay safe, peace.